Let's have a look at the charges option on the customers module. As you probably know, businesses are able to charge additional penalties to customers who don't pay outstanding invoices within the original time period agreed. And with this charges button, you access the charges wizard to apply the charges. As I've said elsewhere in these videos, applying charges is all very well as long as the customer then pays them, but at least this gives you some kind of extra ammunition to get them to pay up on time next time. Okay, so let's click on the charges button, which takes us into the wizard, and it warns us before we start that before running this wizard, please ensure that you have allocated any credits against outstanding invoices. Obviously, if you haven't allocated credit notes to invoices, you won't have a proper idea of what's actually outstanding on individual credit invoices. Also, before you start, you should check that the finance charge rates that you've set up are correct. This you do through the configuration editor, as dealt with elsewhere in these videos. You would have to close this window, close all other windows, and go up to settings and configuration editor, but as I say, we've already dealt with that in a separate video elsewhere. You also, because you can't reverse any of this once you've done it, you need to make a backup of your data before you start, and again we deal with backing up your data in a separate video, and it gives you the option to back up now if you haven't already done so. So let's go to the next screen. Okay, the date that you put in here means that credit charges will be applied to any transactions up to and including that date. The department, you can actually select a separate department for credit charges, and then the credit charges will actually be posted to that department or allocated to that department, and you can run a departmental analysis report to find out how much money has been assigned or allocated in credit charges. So close that. Now this little box here, include disputed items, that would mean that you can apply credit charges to transactions even if you flag them as disputed. So let's have a look at the next window. Right, now this gives us also the accounts to which we want to apply credit charges, and just thinking about it here, it might also be helpful before you start this wizard to have run yourself an aged debtors report, which gives you some idea of which of your customers are being naughty and aren't paying on time. Okay, and then you can select individual ones, or you could select one and say swap to select all the others. Clear if you're not sure. We're not actually going to apply these, but I'm just going to run through the wizard so you know what it asks you to do. So let's just select our good old friend A1 Design Services. Next. And at this stage it hasn't done anything, so don't, seeing this window here counting down, don't panic and think, oh my goodness, I've just posted them and I didn't want to. It hasn't actually done anything yet. Now within the customer that we've selected, it's showing us the transactions that are still outstanding. I'm just going to check something. No. Okay, now this is the May and the July invoice for photocopying services. Now, if you remember from a previous video where we raised a credit note, we raised a credit note against this invoice for A1. So you can see the importance of allocating credit notes to invoices, because I haven't actually allocated the credit note yet to this invoice. So that's giving me a misleading idea of what they have and haven't paid, because in actual fact that invoice is no longer due because we've had a credit note against it. So that's just a little pointer to remind you why they tell you to allocate credit notes to invoices before you start. So we won't check that one. Let's say we'll select that one. Go on to the next window. Right, now it's saying that you've selected, made all these selections and choices. If you now select Finish, this little button, the program will post the credit charges to the transaction selected. Now, I've just run through this to show you what to do. I don't actually want to post those charges, so I'm not going to accept that. But if you do, then that will apply the credit charges, and then you can't reverse it. So I'm going to say cancel. Are you sure you wish to exit this wizard? Yes, please. So that's just to show you how to apply credit charges within the customers module.